Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking what might seem like a standard, everyday list of road rules and transforming it into a really fascinating look at the physics of driving as well as our collective community responsibility. Whether you've been behind the wheel for a week or, a couple of decades, we're going to break down exactly what happens between your brain, your vehicle, and the environment around you the second you hit the road.
But right before we dive into the rules themselves, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. Do you actually know how long it takes your car to stop? And I don't mean how long it feels like it takes. I mean the hard, scientific reality of bringing a heavy, fast-moving machine to a dead halt. The truth is, it's probably way longer than you think. And on narrow, winding roads, that little misconception can literally be the difference between a safe trip and a total disaster.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the science of stopping, mastering right-of-way rules, navigating nighttime hazards, the danger of rushing, and finally, a community responsibility. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The science of stopping. Understanding braking physics and distances.
Let's start with the physical reality of your car, which is absolutely crucial, especially on narrow roads where your space is super limited. When we talk about braking distance, we're not just talking about your brakes. It's actually an equation. Your total braking distance equals your thinking distance plus your stopping distance. Your brain and your machine have to work perfectly in sync. The thinking distance is your biological reaction time, those split milliseconds it takes for your brain to spot a hazard and tell your foot to move. Then, the stopping distance is the actual physical capability of your tires and brake pads to kill your momentum. You simply cannot cheat this equation. And because we can't cheat physics, we rely on a magic number, 2. The vital 2-second rule. You've got to keep at least a 2-second gap between your car and the vehicle ahead of you. This gives you a built-in buffer for that thinking distance we just talked about. And remember, that's just the bare minimum for perfect sunny conditions. If it's raining or you have poor visibility, you need to instantly double that rule to 4 seconds. No exceptions.
Now, what's really wild here is how rapidly your minimum safe distance scales up the faster you go. If you're crawling along at 10 kilometers per hour, your safe distance is just 3 to 4 meters. But speed up to 40 kilometers per hour and you aren't just multiplying that space by 4. Your safe distance balloons to a massive 20 to 25 meters. On a tight and closed street, 25 meters is an enormous amount of space to account for. That's enough room to fit several cars back to back. And hey, those numbers only apply when everything is perfect. Out in the real world, so many factors can completely wreck your braking distance. Wet roads, loose sand or debris on the asphalt, or just having worn down tires all drastically reduce your vehicle's grip. Add heavy loads to your car or, throw in a little distracted driving and poor visibility, and those 25 meters can easily turn into 30 or 40. So what do you do when you actually need to stop right now? Emergency braking requires some very precise physical actions. First, brake firmly and steadily. No pumping the pedal unless you happen to be driving an older vehicle without anti-lock brakes. Second, keep both hands glued to that steering wheel so you maintain absolute control. And third, for all our motorcycle riders out there, you have to brake progressively. Grabbing a handful of brake all at once?
Yeah, that's pretty much a one-way ticket to a bad skid.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, Mastering Right-of-Way Rules. Navigating intersections and narrow roads. This brings us to the social side of driving. It's like a giant puzzle we're all solving together to avoid the exact emergency stops we just discussed. Intersections are where paths cross, and naturally, risks multiply. The baseline rule is straightforward. Vehicles on the main road always have priority, and if you're entering from a side road, you have to give way. But what if there are no signs at all? Well, then you must yield to vehicles coming from your right. And crucially, you have to yield to any vehicle that's already inside the intersection. You literally cannot just force your way into an occupied space. Now, if you're navigating tricky, narrow island roads, here's a brilliant rule of thumb. Uphill traffic always has priority over downhill traffic. Why? Because losing momentum on a steep incline makes starting up again incredibly difficult. Also, on those really tight roads, the vehicle with more physical space around them should always be the one to give way. Oh, and if your side of the road happens to be blocked by parked cars, the responsibility falls 100% on you to yield to oncoming traffic. Then we have the non-negotiables, situations that demand absolute priority. We're talking about pedestrian crossings, school zones, and areas with heavy foot traffic. You've also got to give way to buses pulling back into traffic, and you should never, ever overtake a school vehicle that is actively loading or unloading kids.
Finally, if you see an ambulance, a police car, or a fire truck, they own the road. Your job is to immediately pull to the left and come to a complete stop until they've passed safely. All right, Section 3, Navigating Nighttime Hazards, Adapting to Low Visibility. When the sun goes down, the entire environment fundamentally changes, right? The immediate adjustment you need to make is obvious, but man, is it ignored way too often. Slow down. Your visibility is inherently low, which completely compromises your thinking distance because you just can't see hazards until they're right on top of you. Also, you've got to avoid using high beams on narrow roads. Sure, they help you see better, but they instantly blind oncoming drivers, creating a massive hazard for everyone else. I want you to picture a dark, narrow street for a second. Shadows are everywhere. You have to be hyper-vigilant here. Watch out for pedestrians stepping out unexpectedly from between parked cars. Keep your eyes peeled for fast-moving delivery motorcycles weaving through traffic. And just anticipate the completely unpredictable nature of late-night traffic in general. At night, you're not really just driving, you're actively hunting for the unexpected. Which brings us to Section 4, the danger of rushing, the psychology of last-minute driving.
Let's pivot for a moment from the physical road to human psychology. We really need to understand why so many accidents happen in the first place, completely regardless of road conditions. Honestly, it comes down to the ultimate self-defeating behavior. The source material spells it out pretty bluntly. A huge number of accidents happen simply because drivers leave home too late. Rushing turns a boring routine trip into a highly dangerous situation because the stress of running late literally rewires your brain's decision-making process.
Think about it. When we're rushing, we adopt these absurd, super dangerous habits. We speed, completely erasing our vital braking distances. We start aggressively overtaking people, totally ignoring right-of-way rules. We take wrong-way shortcuts to shave off, maybe 10 seconds? Or we selfishly block an intersection and cause gridlock for the whole neighborhood. The fix for all of this is incredibly simple. Plan ahead, drive calmly, arrive safely. Finally, Section 5, a community responsibility, safe driving as a collective duty.
So the whole shebang really comes down to bringing all of this awareness into our daily lives. That means driving on the left and slowing down on narrow streets. It means respecting school zones and actually keeping our safe braking distances. But you know what? It also matters when your car is completely turned off. We have to park responsibly. No parking on corners or junctions or school gates, and absolutely no double parking. That's how you block emergency vehicles. Quick visual note for the riders, motorcycles need to park perpendicular to the curb. It's all about working together to keep our shared spaces orderly and safe. I want to read a quote directly from this source material for you, because it honestly just hits the nail on the head regarding everything we're talking about today. Safe driving is not only a rule, it is a responsibility to protect our families, children, and community. It's not just about you trying to avoid a traffic ticket. It's about the social contract we all sign the moment we turn the ignition key. We've looked at the hard physics of stopping, the right-of-way rules, the hidden hazards of the night, and the incredible dangers of our own rushing minds. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought to carry with you. Next time you get behind the wheel, are you just driving, or are you actively protecting your community? Keep those stopping distances wide, yield the right-of-way generously, and I'll catch you on the next explainer. Stay safe out there.